the ability to discern from right from wrong is massive for society, for governance of organizations, for your household, end of life decisions. Any time where there's a high stakes decision that needs to get made, that's irreversible, that matters a lot. The ability to discern right from wrong, and use good judgment. I'll be concerned if there's widespread use in complex and high, I would say, very important decisions.
Yeah.
In businesses and government.
Yeah.
That would be a scary thing. At the end of the day, this is a technology that's, I think, going to serve humanity, going to fall under our dominion more than rise above it and have dominion over us.
Welcome back to another week of That Christian Business Podcast. I'm so excited, and if this is your first time here, the whole purpose of this podcast is to encourage, equip, entertain, and even challenge Christian entrepreneurs and business owners. My hope is that as you go drive to a project, go drive to the office, whatever it is, that this would be an encouragement for you, that you would feel known, and that it would help you to put Jesus more at the center of your business and everything you do. So today I have a new guest co-host with me, David Yerger. I'm really excited that we get to have this conversation. David is a man of many talents, has his hands in a lot of things, and the newest venture is Bob AI, a new AI studio, doing a bunch of different things to support and serve businesses. And so today, I just wanted to start by, what is Bob AI, and why in the world are you in the world of AI?
Yeah, two interesting questions. Bob is both a venture studio that is not yet in existence, but is coming, and a services business that is in existence today. And we serve several clients in various capacities, where we implement AI without the chaos. And what that looks like is governed AI systems. We want to map out a company's workflows, understand what's troubling them, and then thoughtfully proceed from there as to where we need or could implement AI, as opposed to what you're experiencing now in many industries is scattershot AI slop thrown everywhere. Put a tool here, put a tool there, working in here. We want to be thoughtful, diligent, measured, helpful, and put in AI governance that can really help a business move forward.
Yeah. And so why did you get into this space? I know you've had your hands in a lot of different things, including a crypto fund. So how did you start to go, AI is something that I need to invest in?
I've been watching AI for 3 years. Just various things have happened, seen the progression in it, noticed that we're coming around a sea change event. So what I would call, a Cambrian explosion of technology. And maybe that's a little too far hyped, but this particular technology is a technology that I think can actually benefit human beings, can apply some significant technical leverage within a company. Truly, at the end of the day, I think make most business owners, most business leaders better at their jobs and able to check out of business when they're at home, knowing that their systems and their processes and their governance structures are running appropriately without them when they're not there. It facilitates that in a unique and beautiful way. And furthermore, I'm an entrepreneur, love entrepreneurs. I think this technology is going to help us do more with less. So our teams are going to be smaller. The type of work we're engaging in is going to move up the ladder.
Yeah.
So more of that working on your business, as opposed to working in, you're still going to need to work significantly in your business, but it's going to be um, different types of work that you're going to get to engage with. We saw this space emerging and said, okay, this is unique. This is interesting. This is fascinating. My partners, Brad and Brian and I, and we need to be in, we need to have a services company in this space to help
Yeah.
clarify all the confusion that's thrown out on all sides of this
Mm.
argument. And not only clarify it, but we think more uniquely as Christians, how should we approach this in a
Yeah.
um, thoughtful manner? And we can get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll dive into it a little bit. Like when we think of technology, we can think of like what Amish culture does, which is reject the majority of technology and allow it to be, allow the average American
Hmm.
to be a rat that gets to be tested on and
Mm.
see what technology is actually useful and beneficial, not harmful. And we
Hmm.
look at some technologies, specifically like cell phone and social media, and we can really debate whether the overall, if it's net positive or net negative.
Hmm.
And there's people on both sides because it in some ways is hard to tell. So as a Christian, how are you navigating how this lines up with scripture and with the Bible so that you're stewarding it well and not, just using it to get an advantage because it's available?
Great question. I think in Genesis, like I think it's 126 or 128, that God's command was for us to fill the earth, multiply, and subdue it, and have dominion over over it. And I think that that concept of dominion is something that I've been really interested in exploring, right? And specifically, when you think about the what that means, that applies to technology. It applies to institutions. It applies to cultural culture culture components. Um, there's it applies to science, right? So Christians are to express that or help steward
Yeah.
that element of dominion um, in this space. I think technologies, when you really look at them, most of them are probably pretty neutral, right? It's a thing. I've been reading quite a bit about the um, electricity
Okay.
and the journey of electricity from the 1700s through to through these experiments through to the late 1800s where you started to get the very emergence of electrical grids in Western Europe and in the US, and all of the stories that came with that.
Mm,
So the parallels to that in AI are wild. Um,
sure.
so electricity, there was you find out that the early church was really concerned about, electricity, right? Not only the risks of being electrocuted, but the metaphysical potential in their words, reincarnation of cadavers,
Oh, interesting.
right? They thought that that this was playing God. And so this is a new technology that you should be very scared of. There's this side pitted up against this side, and there's papers produced about it and
Yeah.
lots of things. But how often nowadays do you think about your electricity,
Right.
right? In terms of right and wrong or in terms of good and evil? It's just a technology that
Yeah.
exists and it allows us to film shoots like this and podcasts and all kinds of things to get produced in
Yeah.
manufacturing settings. And maybe there's a chance 10 to 20 years from now that that's really where this build out of LLMs and agents is. You're like, of course I have an agent. Of course I have an LLM orchestrator in my business and a governance framework and agents.
Yeah. It's
Um,
just part of
yeah,
everyday common life.
yeah. You mentioned earlier some social media components. Uh, I do think there's some distinction in the last 20 to 30 years of interconnectedness through all these applications, all these software applications that have gotten built out that require your time, attention, your presence, your immediacy in a response, whether it comes in through, you name it,
Yeah.
LinkedIn or Telegram or Slack or WhatsApp, whatever it is, there's some type of messaging platform for that. And that's ultimately taken, I would say, from us. So you find husbands and wives that come home, and guess what? Their attention is taken by this technology. Their presence is now given to this technology. What we found in how we interact with AI, when we sign off for the day, we can be fully present. I'm not concerned about social media or posting or this or that. I can be fully engaged with my family, my wife, my 2-year-old son. It's changed, and I think that will become more ubiquitous. I think it'll. My hope is that 20 years from now, we'll be more present in person,
Mm.
in a beautiful way. So I do think there's differences to technological intents
Yeah.
and applications.
Yeah. And I think something you mentioned to me in a conversation we had that I hadn't thought about was the fact that so far AI isn't addictive like social media.
Yeah,
Like I hadn't really thought about, social media is gamified. It's all this to like draw our attention, but this is much more designed to help us with something and it's very helpful and we go to it, but it's not something you're like, I need to get my chat GPT itch scratched,
right.
right? Like my chat GPT followers,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
I didn't originally plan this in the conversation, but I think it'd be interesting to like from both of our perspectives share maybe something that we've so far been interested or excited about from AI. Um, and maybe one of the concerns you have when it comes to faith. And so I'll start just
Sure.
as this is a
Yeah.
new. I think one of the first things that made me, I think excitement's the wrong term, but like impressed by AI when my father was in the hospital last year
Mm.
and was going through a really challenging health circumstance that ended up taking his life. It wasn't like a normal thing, like it wasn't cancer, it wasn't something that you knew what was going on. And so every day I would have a variety of different doctors coming into the hospital and I would voice record and then I would take that transcript and plug it into Chat GPT, which the voice recording had so many like mispronounced words because they're medical terms. But because of its knowledge, it could pretty accurately know what they were saying and then give me a summary to kind of look back. And I could think back to what I just heard and make sure there were errors. But it helped me also in the disseminating of information to all those who were wondering how he was doing.
Mhm.
I didn't have to write up this long thing. I would like summarize this for me, read it, and send that part of it out.
Mm.
And so that was the first time I was like, man, that can really help because there's so many terms in that space you just don't know.
Mhm.
And you don't have time to like search it while they're talking. You get such short time with each specialist. So that was the first like, aha, like, wow, this is profound in what it can do. Um, and I think when it comes to my greatest concerns at this point, similar to what you said with electricity and like trying to bring back life, is I think back to the Tower of Babel
Mm.
in the Bible and trying to make themselves like God, get to the heavens. When I see things like Elon Musk's Neuralink and what he claims he's trying to accomplish with it, and basically having computer and mind be fully in sync, I see ourselves trying to not be limited, but be limitless.
Hmm.
And I recognize that, if you look through scripture, God designed us to be limited and it's actually good for us.
Mhm.
For mental health, that probably wouldn't be a good thing to have constant connection. So I think there's that side that's still like a concern for me as a believer.
Hmm.
And then the other side of concern is just we are already, especially in American culture, very focused on how do we tune everything to us?
Mm,
How do we, which church can I go to that has the exact worship that I want? Which people should I hang out that are most like me?
mhm,
AI and different forms of chatbots and different things can even take out some of the relational side
mm,
as we try to shift things to be an encouragement to us, talk to us exactly how we want it to talk to us. And from the scary side is like the relational side with people trying to replace, you know, romantic relationships with something that so those are the sides that I get a little weary of because I just know how humanity is and the holes that we're trying to fill in our hearts that can't be filled by
mm.
this. But I'm curious for you, like what I'm sure because you're in the space, there's something new every single day that
Oh,
excites you.
oh, yeah.
But what's one thing that like excites you and like maybe it was an aha moment with AI? And then what's one thing that's still a concern for you for believers?
I actually have 2 aha moments. One was years ago. Well, actually, this is about a year and change ago.
Okay.
Uh, my wife's mother had ALS, and we were trying to do a similar medical, diagnostic, and you know, late stages for her. Hospice is there. There's quite a number of things coming on. You're trying to help the family kinda navigate end of life timing. When's this gonna happen? What's this gonna look like? Where can we how can we show up well in this time? And
Yeah.
um, I think you have different providers that aren't inclined to tell you what's actually happening, and what your timetable should be. They may not be incentivized to do that. They might just be incentivized to tell you the readings and get out of there. And so cracking that open, pulling up some readings, and thinking, helping the family kind of recalibrate to this time frame that we were operating on. We're thinking we're making month-long plans, but these pulse oximeter readings are giving us, when I plug these in
Yeah.
contextually into the situation, you're talking week or less.
Mm.
So uh, that was one application. I'd say another application is at Bob. We were able to spin up what we call a sales guide for us, so we can drop into just about any context, regardless of how complex and complicated and totally new vertical or subject matter.
Yeah.
Um, we were able to type in notes at the time. We no longer do that. Listens, but type in notes and gather a significant amount of context, and ask the next highest leverage question that would lead towards some type of outcome aligned um, scope of work for a pilot
Mm.
for a particular client. So moving into technical spaces where there's quite a bit of engineering, and being able to drop in that PhD level intelligence to ask a question was pretty impressive. I was like, okay, this is helpful. This is helping me um, in this capacity. And I didn't always ask the question.
Yeah.
It wasn't always on topic or on point with the conversation, the flow of the conversation, but still having that at my disposal is pretty helpful. To your other point in question about concerns, ASI or superintelligence uh, is something I'm not really concerned about
Yeah.
for the at least for the near term. I don't even know if it's a reality or not. Quite honestly, I will have concerns when AGI, which is the current AI LLM setup that we have right
And what
now,
does AGI stand for?
general intelligence,
Okay.
artificial general intelligence. So broad strokes, AGI nor ASI, they neither of them have a soul, and they lack the ability to discern right from wrong. When you hear that initially, you think, okay, but they can do all these other things. But the ability to discern from right from wrong is massive for society, for governance of organizations, for your household, end of life decisions. Any time where there's a high stakes decision that needs to get made, that's irreversible, that matters a lot. The ability to discern right from wrong, and use good judgment and taste. So I'll be concerned if there's widespread use in uh, complex and high, I would say, very important decisions,
Yeah.
um, in businesses and government.
Yeah.
That would be a scary thing. But until then, I'm truly not that concerned. And to your Neuralink point, I haven't read up on Neuralink in 2 years now, so I don't know what they're working on. Can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
I do understand the Babel, the Tower of Babel analogy, and there's definitely um, something there. But yeah, I think it's quite a bit of ways off, and at the end of the day, this is a technology that's, I think, going to serve humanity, going to fall under our dominion
Yeah.
more than rise above it
Yeah.
and have dominion over us. So,
Yeah. No, I love that insight and sort of your viewpoint. And it's always helpful to have conversations with people who are more deeply into it and more deeply understand it. Cause I think the layperson, myself included, doesn't even fully understand. Like I think of the internet and I'm like, how is this actually working?
how does that work?
Right? Like I still don't fully understand that. And so I think it's natural. And there's multiple reasons why there's a lot of content being put out that's like fear based,
Hmm.
because fear drives attention
Hmm.
and people are striving for attention. But I think it's helpful for the average person to have these kinds of conversations or at least sit in on them so they can understand what's reality and how can I utilize things in a way that does steward the resources and technology as well.
Yeah.
Um, but let's take a little pause on AI,
Okay.
and we'll do this segment that we've done every episode so far. It's called Best, Worst, Most Edifying.
Okay.
And for those of you who haven't seen this segment yet, the essential premise is what's the best job you've ever done or a job that you would do without getting paid, if you could survive, of course. What's the worst job you've had? Something you wish you'd never have to do again? And what's the job that has most shaped you spiritually
Hmm.
and helped you to draw nearer to the Lord? And so let's start with best. What's something you would do if you didn't have to worry about money? You would just do it because you enjoy it.
It sounds weird, but it would be what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
I
And
would
why?
I would do I find it fascinating, to just observe people in different business, just the amount of businesses, the number of different businesses that exist and people that are doing various things. It's fascinating. And then how they're structured, no business looks the same,
Yeah.
right? They're not only they're full of different people, but their entire workflows, how they work, how they function in and out is can be in the exact same industry, in the exact same niche in an industry and look entirely different,
Yeah.
culturally different. So I find that I'm endlessly fascinated by businesses and, oh, I didn't know you could have a business doing that. That's unbelievable. And then, yeah, the problems that exist, you get to come in and help somebody say, okay, even if we don't get paid, like, was that, was that helpful? Was that valuable? Like, we're here. This is what we're here to do. This is kingdom work. So I'm really enjoying what I do.
Okay.
The worst job I had,
And it could also be a business that you've done too. Doesn't have to be like just an old job.
yeah, I have a very, I'll tell you about a very difficult business that I was a part of the story of a business that's very formative to me. I would say spiritually, but the worst job that I had was I worked for a couple months in a summer at a shoe. I don't know how to describe this. We would shut. We set up and took down hundreds of thousands of, it was a traveling shoe operation
Okay.
in Mississippi, where I'm from, Jackson, Mississippi. My friend got me this job for the summer. I think it was 15, 16, 17. And he got put inside putting shoes up, uh, got fired day 2 for driving a forklift through the wall. But I somehow got stuck outside in an outfit, a dog outfit, waving the sign. And I was in a sweaty dog outfit that just smelled awful, in the heat of Mississippi in the summer for about a month and a half. And I swore to myself, I'm swore off signs and being in costumes, for work. The most rewarding job I'd say I just learned quite a bit was running multi-unit restaurants. We had a restaurant in Winston, small franchise. We were franchisees. Restaurant in Winston, Greensboro, Winston-Salem. Being a multi-unit operator,
Yeah.
also responsible for all the area development that comes with getting a restaurant off the ground and then managing the managers once it gets built out was quite a bit of work.
Mm.
And I got to learn everything: marketing, sales, hiring, firing, how to create healthy company culture, how to. I learned so much on the job. I like to think that I got better quick because you had to.
Yeah.
In those days, I came into that business thinking, man, here I am, a young believer. Um, I was naive enough to say, I'm going to go out and do this on my own. I'm going to bear fruit in this business. And I can't wait to see what I'm going to bring people to faith and we're just going to win. And it turned out I got my teeth kicked in for like 3 years. I'm sure I saw some fruit in several people, in that business. And so God was 100% faithful. I think it was probably in despite of me instead of because of me.
Yeah.
And that was just unbelievably formative. I was praying quite a bit, um, frustrated at my circumstance several times, but at the end of it, I like to think that I got an amazing opportunity, kind of to go to be what I would call, an MBA from the School of Hard Knocks. So running restaurants gave me great confidence that there's a lot of businesses that exist. They all have sales, operations, and finance, and people problems, and systems, and standard operating procedures. And
How old were you at the time?
this was 26 to 30.
It's a
Yeah,
good time to be working through all that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I don't have a name for this segment, but we'll call it story time for now. So, being a entrepreneur, a business owner, is filled with wild stories, weird things that happen. Um, this is kind of that entertaining side. What's a wild story of something that's happened during your time?
I technically got assaulted at that restaurant one time.
Okay, let's hear about that.
Wow.
What happened there?
Maybe I shouldn't tell that story. I won. I would like to think that I won the assault. Um, but we'll save that. We'll save that for another time.
There you go.
I ended up not pressing charges. We'll just say this. I'll just say I was assaulted. Fired an employee. Fired a manager. And another employee that I did not know was uh, living at that manager's house and started
Mm.
swinging at me later in the office and, called the cops. And they got there. They asked me if I wanted to press charges. The kid was 18 at the time, and so I said, you know what? I think I got the best of him. I don't want to press charges. Like this is he's got. I don't want to ruin his life like that.
Yeah.
Um, put something like that on his record. So, but yeah, that would probably be the wildest thing that's happened to me.
In the last episode, I shared a little bit about this, but not the full story. So I had a wild 2 days running my production company in California at one point. I was leaving my office at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to swing by a client, and my employee at the time, his desk was right by the front and he could look out right in the parking lot. And it's in this random parking lot in the middle of a neighborhood, but there's a few businesses here, super quiet. And as I'm walking to my car, a minivan that's completely blacked out starts slowly going like kind of behind me. And then another vehicle starts coming. I'm like, what is going on?
Oh,
So I get to my car and multiple blacked out vehicles stop right in front of my studio. And about 9 or 10 bulletproof vest sheriffs all start coming out of these vehicles. And so I call up my employee real quick, like he's right below, and we have a suite above us. And then one business attached to the side. They're the one who owns the building. And so I call him like, dude, there's these sheriffs out here. I don't know what's going on. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And so I stay on the phone and they go upstairs and they start banging on the door, say, you need to come out. No one's coming out. Long story short, this woman is running some sort of illicit business upstairs that told me that she did nails and graphic design, which is an interesting combo. I only had like a couple conversations with this woman. And so this all happens. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And when I got back, she was there. Like I thought she got arrested, but and she gave me a whole story about the wife of one of her clients told her that they were cheating together. So she called the cops and said that I was a drug dealer. And so made up this whole story. I was like, oh my gosh. So I didn't know the full truth until like a few weeks later. But the very next morning, I get to my studio and I got there early. And this is what I shared a little last week. And my window is shattered. And I open the door and there's a boulder about this big on the floor. And I'm looking around my studio. I'm like, everything looks like it's intact. And I had built a office in the corner, built walls. They weren't like into the ground, and built a door that locked. And I looked and my door was kicked in. And someone had taken all my camera cases. And so about $25,000 worth of equipment.
oof.
They just grabbed it and were gone. This is before I had security cameras or anything. I didn't post any signs on this building. Like there was nothing that would show you I'm not on a map. The only way would be someone like sort of casing and watching the space. And so that was such a odd day. But it was one of those days that like for whatever reason, the whole day, God just kept reminding me of his goodness. And so even though I was bummed, didn't know how to handle it fully, I was never angry, which was kind of a wild experience. It was one of those times where you could feel the Lord's presence actually transforming the way that you respond and act.
It's powerful.
But those two things back to back, I don't think there's any correlation between them. I never tried to figure out who robbed us. Some guy randomly called me like a month later, or maybe it was a few weeks later, and he had found one of my Pelican cases tossed in a marsh. They took all the equipment and tossed.
Wow.
And it had my phone number and stuff on it. And I was supposed to meet up with him and I never did.
Wow.
And so I also got to learn the process of working with insurance and how little I understood the insurance policy. And luckily, I think I got like 18,000 of the 25-ish that was stolen back. But still,
Something.
It's still a loss.
And it was a boulder or a small boulder they threw through your window? That's incredible.
Yeah, they just found it. So I actually kept it on a shelf for a couple of years.
You still have it? Is it here in the studio?
I meant to bring it.
Yeah.
I was talking with Peter Milner because he has a podcast that they're starting called Ebenezer Stooges,
Mm,
but it's about that Ebenezer, that monument that was just typically
yeah.
stacked stones. I was like, I literally had an Ebenezer thrown
Yeah.
through my window.
Yeah. You had one brought to you.
Uh, um, so yeah, there's one of the wild
That
experiences.
is wild.
So I love to get practical. This is sort of on that equipping side of the podcast. For the average Christian entrepreneur or business owner who sees AI either as a threat or as just something that's intimidating that they don't even know where to start, where would you recommend, like, the people you work with are typically not mom and pop shop, like individual entrepreneur kinds of people, your larger companies. But for those who maybe aren't at that level yet, where should they start? Like, what would be a good way to start?
We're happy to help mom and pops as well, by the way. We have a diagnostic uh, at Bob that helps us understand, kind of on a scale of 0 to 5, where different leaders are in their understanding and adoption of AI. So some people are 0,
Yeah,
no interest, could care less. Many are at 1, which is, hey, it's on my radar. I've got some tools to look into. Maybe I just started playing with ChatGPT or
yeah,
Claude. 2 is I'm starting to not only just do this individually for myself in the different context in which I exist, household, business, friends, but family context, like you mentioned earlier, medical. Uh, Yet I'm starting to think about, how do I use this in my business?
mm,
Can you produce that document for me? Can you change this, edit this, right? You know, Lots of human glue, what we call human glue in the middle of copy and pasting results and changing
mm,
chats and keeping track of folders. Then there's, let's call it 3. So we tackled 0, 1, and 2, and 3 is you're starting to think about, in your business, how can I incorporate? Do I have standard operating procedures? Start to explore, how can
sure,
I incorporate uh, governed AI, whether it be an LLM, agent framework, or orchestration agent, uh, into some type of process. So maybe there's a lot of logic that's already spelled out in that SOP and an escalation pattern. We can start to explore that. 4 is when you're really actually implementing that. And stage 5 is when you not only have that different implementations within SOPs in your business, but they're on a looped learning feedback framework. And
mm,
so they're the the deployed agents that you have making decisions in certain small reversible decisions in certain contexts are reporting back on their experience and the user feedback and whatever internal controls that are happening, whatever data policies are in place on that whole experience, and going back to the start of the loop to see if it needs to be improved. Right? Here's the feedback. Is there any improvement that we need to make? All right, back to
sure.
the top. If you're starting out on your AI journey, the most helpful thing is to just play with some of the tools. I think so many humans just learn by doing.
Mm.
Um, some
And which
people,
ones would you say is the best one to start with for you?
ChatGPT or Claude,
Yeah,
are both great. Claude, um, the free versions um, are not that different from one another. When you get into some of the paid versions, there's some pretty significant differences in how they are applied to your business. I think learning by doing, and learning as much about what it is and what it isn't,
sure.
right? That you're using, and how learn about inference, right? These large language models started out as statistical models, right? With language data, language sets as well. And what they're trying to do is statistically infer or guess at what the output should be based on the question and the context of the chat or the history or the
Yeah.
context that's been provided. Imagine a giant pegboard, right? And the bounciest ping pong balls that have ever existed times 1,000, and they can bounce, quarter of a mile. And you have uh, a billion 2-foot slots of where these ping pong balls can land, and they, cover many, many, many miles. When you drop that super bouncy ping pong ball into it, it can end up in any one of these billion buckets. Um, and that would produce a pretty meaningless result. You would be unsatisfied with that. For a business, we want to make the 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 buckets that you can potentially land in very, very tight in terms of their number and what their actual results can be. So, a billion is too many, a million is still too many. It needs to be specific to this output in this context for this situation. We've got all these pegboards with super bouncy ping pong balls, and we're trying to reduce. We know where it's going to get dropped into, and now we can create a barrier there. Some kind of, think about it like a guardrail,
Yeah.
bowling lane. We know the ball is going to bounce here and then go to this trajectory here, and it's ultimately going to end up in one of these 4 buckets,
Mm.
right? Out of the billion. And that's what we'd call just reducing the inference based on the role, the context, the state, the guardrails and governance that we put in place.
And how do people learn to start to set that for the prompts they're doing? What's the best way to start learning that?
By doing,
By
learn
doing.
by doing.
Do you feel that AI does a good job in helping you create those?
It can, most businesses, from what I've observed, and there's tons of grace provided here,
Yeah.
but most businesses don't really do a good job with their standard operating procedures, thinking about the context, the industry, their workflows, what's mapped where, what systems of record need to exist, where does this live, what is the escalation path for this, who needs to decide on X, Y, or Z
Yeah.
in this process, and that usually can get pretty complex pretty quick, or stay very simple. The simpler it is, the easier it is when you have these SOPs, you have your values, your tenets, your main priority goals, this particular role and responsibility set. You feed all that into the LLM for a specific output, and you can reduce the amount of inference pretty drastically.
Mhm. There's
There's a lot of work that goes into that. The do and do not do list, the tone, the brand voice.
Yeah.
There's questions unique to each business on how to run this for my business. I may get the answer that I want in the tone that I don't,
Yeah.
right? So,
So here's a random question for you that you probably know better than me. It comes back to I don't know what the internet is and how it really works. So every day, like obviously we know about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are some of like the biggest ones. The first part is, are all 3 of those like their own like servers, entities where it has its own knowledge that is completely separate from Claude and completely separate from Gemini? Is that accurate that they're all separate? Like they have no interconnectivity in what is learned and how to respond?
yeah, largely they're competitors in the model. They're model providers, each one of those. So, um, yeah, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google are all competitors in that model space. So they're all trying to launch the newest and best model
Right.
with that can excel on thousands of data points and parameters.
So the other side of the question then is like, I feel like every single day you hear of a new AI tool or app. Those likely aren't working off their own servers and like their own large language model, correct? Like, are they tapping into like APIs within a
There's
other LLM, or how does that?
there's open source LLMs. There's free credits provided by these model providers. Um, the model the model providers, by the way, thought that they were the going to amount all the they were going to benefit greatly from the value capture throughout the stack, right? Until 6 weeks ago, OpenClaw came out and made them second guess that,
And
right?
what
Like
is OpenClaw?
OpenClaw was an orchestration layer, you could say, um, an open source. Uh, I forgot his name, but he built it um, to essentially be his personal assistant. Other people started using it and running their own setups, and now OpenClaw's been acquired for their talent, and OpenClaw still exists. And there's ClawMart, and you can buy, or maybe it's not ClawMart, it's something different, but you can buy agents
Hmm.
um, to do various things that have been tested. There's other protocols to connect to. So the value capture that the model providers were thinking was all going to be theirs, turns out they're now having a massive, significant rethink and saying, "Hey, the value capture might be over here at the reasoning layer or within this governance stack, and
Yeah.
not all
Hmm.
at the model layer. Beneath the model layer is the data centers, right?
Okay.
They're the ones providing a lot of the compute. That compute is a commodity. Are the models a commodity? I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Remains to be seen.
Again, to a practical point, and you may not have any, but do you have any newsletters, any resources that you're like, when I want to learn about what's up and coming, the new things, this is where I go? Any recommendations?
Yeah, there's um, quite a number of people writing about AI and different. Some are more theoretical,
Mhm.
more researched, Ivy Towers, and some are more practical and how to implement it. Newsletters, you can follow, Ben's Bites. I think that's paid. A16Z has some good thoughts on this. There's I'd like to tout our our content that we put out. I like to think that it's helpful. I'm on Twitter quite a bit, or at least I was. I'm not anymore. I've got uh, curation by agents now doing that, which saved me quite a bit of time in finding high value, high leverage articles that help. So instead of spending, let's call it 4 hours a week on Twitter um, or X, I now, you know, 30 minutes
Yeah.
just reviewing what my agents think are important.
Saving that time,
Yeah,
giving back that time and presence, like you discussed.
that's right.
I'm going to take a hard right turn into a topic that I didn't prepare you for.
Okay.
Just because I think you mentioned a strong feeling about this in a conversation we had. And I think it's worth just having a slight discussion about the idea of retirement
Hmm.
for Christians. The entrepreneurial journey is a little bit different than the typical 9 to 5 career path.
Hmm.
How that's been structured in years past, you move into a career, and in our parents' generation, stay in one company, 401k, all that kind of stuff. You get to a certain point, you either get that, or you get a pension, or you get some sort of retirement, hopefully by 65, and then sail into the sunset and
Hmm.
enjoy your elder years. In our current climate on the traditional path, it is bounce to as many companies as you can to jump up the ladder as
Hmm.
quickly as possible, because apparently it's easier to jump companies to grow than it is to grow within your own organization. Read books like 4 Hour Work Week, or retire by 40 or 30, whatever. You know, all these content pieces are about retiring as young as possible by making as much as possible as quickly as possible.
Hmm.
from a Christian worldview and starting to like actually examine what retirement is, how are you viewing retirement and where have we maybe gone wrong?
Hmm. Fascinating topic to discuss. My views on this are, it come back to dominion, right? Um, where fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion over it, right? We're on this amazing journey of life and expressing dominion, helping bearing fruit while we're here on this planet, um, is and walking with God is like what we need to be doing. The pursuit of power in different various forms, whether it be in that career path form, and maybe it manifests itself differently.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the pure pursuit of relative power, but it's the pursuit of an idyllic, you know, retirement life. I need to work this 9 to 5. I need to climb this corporate ladder um, to get to some end
Mhm.
destination. The end for us as Christians is heaven on earth,
Yeah.
and this life that we have here is fully about the journey. And so
Mhm.
it's not about this end of retirement. I find that, um, you know, C.S. Lewis would say, far, the problem with Christians is that we're far too easily pleased, right? So I just don't want that,
Mm.
um, for better or for worse. I also, um, I find just the general idea of retirement is not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing, but it's relatively new phenomenon
Yeah.
of the history of the world. I mean, we've always had elders and people that can't work with their hands or limited in doing certain things.
Yeah.
But this idea of able-bodied, strong-minded people that are thoughtful, that regardless of your faith, just saying, "Hey, time for me to hang it up and have fun, or go do something different,"
Yeah.
is a strange reality. And when some people retire, it's different to each person, right? So when some people retire, they go and get actively involved in something. They give back. And some people, they just sit around. But for most, I think the dream of accumulating money, resources, um, money to me is functionally power, that can power your life for the
Right.
remainder of the years. Like Jesus doesn't speak out against wealth, but just, hey, what are you living this life for? Like, are you literally storing it up?
Mm.
That seems to me what the mainstream view of retirement is. And Christians get caught up in this confused space of, hey, so and so is doing it. Maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's fine for me. And they find themselves on a slippery slope where the the arc of their life, the character arc of their life is now positioned them towards the thing they're looking forward to the most in their 40s is when they become 65 and retired.
Yep.
And I don't think if we got to talk to God here in this room right here and he gets to audibly respond to that, I don't think he'd be like, "Yeah, that's exactly what life's about." Like,
Mm.
wait till wait till have fun, wait to do stuff until your 60s, right?
Yeah.
Save up, store up. No, I think there's just so much more to life, um, than that. And not to create shame or guilt
No.
on anybody that does. There's a lot of different reasons, there's a lot of different views. There's quite a bit of nuance to it and circumstances, but I think for most able-bodied Christians, I think you place your hope in yourself, your career, accumulating power, accumulating money. Um, you're just going to find it lacking. You're just
Mhm.
you're going to get your maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but if you do get it, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are all really good points.
What's your thought on retirement?
Yeah. I think what I've noticed in myself is I have a yearning for perfection. And that's that desire for heaven. That's a desire for completeness that will never happen here on earth. But that yearning we try to fulfill and satisfy while we're on earth. We're trying to find what is the closest thing we can get to perfection here and now. So life is just easier. It's less painful. There's more joy and happiness. And so I believe one of the ways that we naturally do that is we put a false hope in retirement, in this work is hard now. And, we going back to Genesis, the fall of Adam and Eve, he said, you will work the land all the days of your life and it will be hard. Like work will always have some level of hardship, whether it's relationship, whether it's financial, whether it's actual hard skills, like, anyone who's tried to toil the earth and cultivate. Similar to the way that we fantasize, or at least I have, about what if I won the lottery? Like, what if I won it was over $1 billion. Like, what if I won $1 billion? I think that's how we can subtly view retirement as like winning the lottery, and our mind tells us you get there and the problems will fall away. The conflict you have in work, you can enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. And then the American side of Christianity is we long for comfort, like we discussed earlier. And if that longing outweighs our longing to walk with the Lord, it's going to become more self-focused. I used to really struggle, back, I graduated college in 2007.
Not a great time to graduate.
No, not a good time. And just after moved to Portland, Oregon, from San Diego to plant a church. And I could not get an engineering interview for the life of me. And I had this season watching all these people my age buying houses, like saving for retirement and doing this stuff. And I just had this long season of feeling behind. But I feel like it was the Lord's voice that would subtly remind me, will I not provide for you? Like, even if I can't retire, like financially, I never retire, will he not provide the ability to continue to work? Or will he not use those years of trying to be steadfast in his service to bring someone to help provide for us when we're in a position of need? And Americans hate to be in a position of need.
We hate it.
We don't want to rely on anyone but ourselves, especially me. From a young age, I wanted a job as young as I could remember because I didn't want to rely on my parents' money. Like, I just wanted to make my own money, and I treat God often the same way. I don't want to rely on his provision. I think retirement can be a very beautiful thing, and it can be done really well. Joby Martin just spoke at our men's conference this weekend, and he spoke at our church as well. And he talked about an elder who's 92 years old on their elder board, asking for permission to go do I think it was him. It might've been John Tyson. We had a bunch of speakers, but essentially asked like, hey, I think I want to go to Malawi and do this missions trip. I was a doctor. I'd love to. And the board members were telling him like, hey, maybe we should try to stop him from going to Malawi. And he's like, turned to him, what are you afraid of? That he's going to die? Like, he's 92 years old. But like, that is the picture of, I think, what retirement could be. Like longing to step into the things that maybe you didn't have time for, now that you're freed up from the day-to-day work. And so I think two potential solutions to improve upon where we've taken it is, one is, how can we be doing things now to have purpose in what we're doing so that we're not longing for it to be over? And two, how can we think forward to how we utilize that time to be so kingdom fruitful that we're not just excited about mimosas on the beach, but we're excited for ways to do ministry.
One thing I was randomly thinking about this morning was the power of perspective as it pertains to wealth.
Mm.
And I just imagined, I've always thought about this ladder, right? Everyone's looking up the ladder, no one's looking down to help the person beneath
Mm.
them. And I imagined I'm in two different settings. And setting A, uh, I'm in a very, very, very lavish, you know, dining hall, bar and grill, um, with billionaires. And I walk in there and I have to my mindset is that I'm not supposed to be here.
Mm.
Everyone's a billionaire, everyone's super successful. Uh, I'm not supposed to be here. And this is the narrative I'm telling myself, and that I am not as important, and that I am not wealthy. They're wealthy. Look at them. They've got it. Think about the power of perspective and circumstance, and I imagine a completely different room where I'm in a place, um, a third world country, in a room full of people that are not well off, and in both circumstances, I'm thinking about wealth specifically, and I have this realization that I truly am quite possibly the wealthiest person in here, um, and how wealth, and that's from an actual resource, physical, material standpoint.
Right.
But I really think that our perspective truly matters, and I even
It's huge.
in the future, if I encounter any of either type, hopefully I can treat both of them as imago Dei, made in the image of God, right?
Mm.
Um, and neither far more important than the other. Um, and and I think that just drives so much of what we do. Thinking about we need to be there. We are not that. We got to move up the ladder. I'm not a billionaire. There's this interesting study that I occasionally reference that's aligned with that. It's asking it, some researchers asked different cohorts of people if they were wealthy, and they started off at the lowest, um, the poverty level. Of course, they said no. Look at the people making 40K a year. I went to the people making 40K a year. They said, "Do you feel wealthy?" They said no. Look at the people making 100K a year. 100K people. Survey says, look at the people making 200. 200. Look at the people making 500. 500. Look at the million. And so everyone thinks that wealth is over there, and we really just internalizing our own thoughts and into perspective. Like, if we really believe what we really believe is really real, and that it's all God's, we're fine.
Yeah.
There's, you know, the Bible verses about anxiety and how the lilies of the field are clothed in majesty, and the birds have been taken care of, and yet we're over here striving, trying to build our own kingdoms.
Yep.
We haven't really reconciled the fact that it's all His. We're just stewards over it. So and I'm teaching this to myself.
Yeah.
I am on a lifelong journey of relearning how to steward His resources um, better with each passing day. So
Yeah.
that's
That,
my answer.
that's really,
What's your answer to yourself?
no, I don't even think I have to add anything to that. I
No?
think what you just shared was really strong. It's something that we have to be reminded of. And when I gave my illustration of what we can tend to make the future idea of retirement to be, truthfully, it's just an idol.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And we can make idols out of so many things. Men, specifically with work, is one of the biggest places.
Hmm.
And we either make an idol of what we currently have or what we could have in the future, or for those who had a more successful thing in the past and now
Hmm.
it's no longer, we can idolize the past. But perspective and constant surrender to the Lord, we start to see his goodness in all of it and remember his character.
Hmm.
Um, and then we can be reminded that we will be okay. So I want to do one last question that I just thought was a topic that I'm hearing flow through the air around AI.
Sure.
Essentially, one of the main things that AI will be doing when it comes to the workforce is a lot of entry level, lower level jobs are being eaten up. And we're already seeing that.
Hmm.
Lots of mass layoffs at large companies. Some, well, I was having a discussion with someone just today. Some are probably overcutting, thinking AI will do more than it actually will, and not thinking of the humans. Um, but a sentiment that I keep hearing is that the average person who is not entrepreneurial will be required to be more entrepreneurial in the way that they think moving forward to be successful in what work will become in the world of AI. Do you agree, disagree? Any thoughts regarding that?
The last point, I agree. I think uh, the average person may not. You're just going to have to think at a higher level. You're going to have to make decisions, have taste, have judgment. I think this technology, it's it's leverage, it's tech leverage.
Mm,
It's a force multiplier of decisions. And so if you consistently make good sound decisions, good sound judgment, it is going to multiply the effects of that within, and you have a high agency. It's gonna You're gonna experience significant leverage in your work. If you make bad decisions, it's going to compound the effects of those as well. Uh, there are quite a number of people in roles that you mentioned earlier that maybe they were part of a team, maybe they were part of an org
yeah.
or a workflow where maybe they had one small decision to make or something, but really they were just producing something or changing some field or status or checking on something that went wrong. And I think those are the types of uh, jobs that are going to have pressure from automation. Yeah, I think moving into a role where you're using your mind,
Mm,
um, you're you're having to make some kind of decision about something, whether that means starting your own thing or joining someone who started their own thing. I do also think that organizations are going to, on the whole, become smaller. Uh, you're just going to be able to do more with less.
yeah.
I think that's going to be a good thing. I'm just so hopeful about the future. Just a Cambrian event upon us of entrepreneurial talent
Mm,
that's going to be unleashed. And not everybody's an entrepreneur, and that's okay. I'm really excited for the businesses that get launched in the future, the services, the products that get provided, and just how that shapes our local communities.
mm.
Um, I think it's going to be it's I'm going to be fascinated to see it unfold.
Yeah. That's a great way to sort of bring this thing to a close. And like I have been trying to do, I like to end on scripture.
Hmm.
And I shared this with you the other day, but I feel like there's so much anxiety surrounding AI for the average person that why don't we share scripture that specifically talks to anxiety?
Sure.
Um, Ironically, in the last episode, I was also in Philippians chapter 4. I was a few verses later, but we're in Philippians 4, 6 through 7, which says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And so I hope that you guys are just encouraged to go out, remembering, I think sometimes we just want the end portion, the peace of God that transcends all understanding, and don't want to pursue the Lord in every situation. We don't want to spend time in prayer and petition, which means repetitive. And we don't do it with thanksgiving. So my encouragement as you finish listening to this, as you go into the next days of your work week, whether you have to make hard decisions at work, whether you need to try new things, whether it's trying to figure out AI in this coming week, my hope is that you would just be encouraged, that you would put Jesus first in all things. And yeah, as hard as it sounds, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything pursue the Lord.
It's a good word to end on.
David, I'm so glad you came on today. Thank you
you
for doing this. We'll smash the mic in the midst.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.